Hello everyone, a big virtual hug to you all. In this video, we're gonna learn how to implement form validation using the external library which is Formik. You can do this by yourself using custom JavaScript functions, but it is very handy to use the external library because all the things are done already in those libraries. So I use Formik for our form validation. So this is the basic structure of the form. I choose, we have first name, last name and email we have, and this submit button with the beautiful hover effect. So if I click on this submit button, then we have here an error which is required because these fields are empty this time. So that's why it is required. I write here, for example, John and Doe. For example, now the first name error and the last name error is removed, but the email error is still there because we don't have any email here. I write here an email, john@gmail.com. Look, it is removed. If I removed com from here, then we have an error which is email invalid address. So all fields are filled, and if I click on the submit button, then we move on the home page. Look, and if I click on this logout button, then we are again on the login page, and this functionality is completely done using the Formik library. Let's dive into the code. I just create a new project using white and clean our project. So first thing what you have to do is to install the React Router DOM. Next you have to install Formik for form validation, and the last thing is you have to install Sass because we use Sass for styling. And all set. Just clear the terminal and write npm run dev. Copy this link and paste it in the browser. We have nothing here, but our app is created successfully. So minimize this and close the terminal. So first thing what you have to do is just write here, rename this. I write here S for Sass, and here write S. Okay, now here what you have to do is, for example, first import browser router as router, then we need routes and each route. Okay, now here call router, and inside this we have each route, this one, and the path I write here home, and the element is we have home component, but we don't have any home component. So create a new folder, name this folder as components, and inside this create two components, home.jsx, and the second one is signin.jsx. Now here rafce, and in the home rafce, like that. Now here just write e, and we have home component here, and close this as well, like that. The next route is we have login, and the element is sign in, and close this one also. Now we are done with the routes. Just format the code. In the home.jsx, what we have here, just give a class name of home, and here we have an h1, welcome to home page, and after this we have a button, and right here on click and handle logout, and right here logout, simple. Now here write navigate, and use navigate hook from the React Router DOM, and here handle logout, and inside this just write navigate and navigate to login. Okay, and create one more file, two more files for styling, and call this home.scss here in the JSX file, home.scss. Open it side by side, and I just speed up the code for styling. Okay, we are done with the styling of the home page. Now it's time to move on the sign in. So here first create the sign in component, give it a class name of sign in, and inside this we have another div which is container, and inside this container we have form. Remove this action, and inside this form we have a label which is first name and first name. After this we have input, name is first name and id is also first name, and give it a placeholder also first name. Just copy this two more times and write here last name here also, and here we have email, and here we have email address. Type is email, and you can just copy and paste here all the things, but I write manually. After this, we have one more thing, which is a button, and it is submit button, and the type is submit. Now what you have to do is write here const Formik, which is use Formik hook, and inside this we have initial values. What are the initial values in our form? We have first name, last name, and email. So write it here. First name, which is an empty string, last name, which is also an empty string, and an email, also empty string. After this, we have a function which is validate, and after this we have on submit, and inside this on submit, just write here navigate, not this one, but this. Navigate and to home page. Create this navigate, because otherwise this will gives us an error. Use navigate hook. This Formik we pass it here in the on submit. So how can I write Formik dot handle submit? We have to create this validate function, because this time we don't have any validation function here. So const validate, and it takes a parameter which is values. Here first create error object. This is an empty object, and after this we create checks for our form validation. If not values dot first name, if there is no value in the first name, then errors dot first name is required. Else if values dot first name dot length is greater than 15, then errors dot first name is must be 15 characters or less. Okay, now we are done with the first name, and just copy this two more times. Here write last name, and here also write last name, and here also last name, like this. And we are done with the first name and last name. Now for the email, write here email. If there is no email entered, then we give an error required. Otherwise we have to give here a regex code. So I just copy that. You can get this regex code from the GitHub repository linked in the description below. Dot test, and inside this test we have to pass values dot email, like that. And here you have to change this error, which is invalid email address, like that. And after this, just return the errors. We are done with the validation. So how we can handle this here? So inside this, Formik gives us one thing which is very handy, and that is Formik dot get field props, and inside this write here first name, and it covers all the things like on change, on blur, on click, which is required for the input field. And here also just write this, and inside this write last name, and same for the email. Formik dot get fields prop, and inside this an email. Now how we can show errors here? After this input field, I just take more space, and here write curly braces, and inside this write Formik dot touched dot first name, Formik dot errors dot first name. Create a div here to show errors, and inside this div we have Formik dot errors dot first name. Otherwise we have none. And here inside this div, just style this. The color of this error is red, and the font family is sans serif. Why I write touched here? What this touched means here? It means don't show error until the user visit the input field. And if the user visit the input field and that input field is not according to our validation, then you have to show error. This is the meaning of touched here. That's why I write touched. And it also gives by the Formik library. So just copy this and paste it after this input field, and also after this input field. But here we have to write last name here as well. Here now inside this we have an email, this email, and here an email. If you go on the browser and you check login, then we have all the things here. If I click here, then we have required, and if I write here for example John, then this is removed, and write here do, and it also removes, but this required is for the email. I write here for example do@gmail.com. the error is gone. So we are done with our functionality. Just style this component. So I fast forward the code, and you can pause the video for styling. So import Now we are done with the styling. Just format the code and go to the website. Look, we have this thing here and we have no background. So how we can do this? Go to app.scss, remove this code, and here give styling and box sizing, border box, background, RGB 250, 214 and 214, like that. We have this thing here. Now if I refresh this and click on this, look, we have required, and for example I write here John and Doe, and here we have email address. Why this error is shown? Because here I mistakenly write first name, that's why it is showing invalid email address on the first name after the first name. Okay, now if I click here, so now if I write here for example John and here Doe and here John at gmail.com, then click here, we are on the home page. And if I log out, yes, we are back on the login page. So this is the form validation using the Formik external library, and it is very useful to use this library because it speeds up your productivity. So that is for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.